Hello, everyone. So I wanted to talk about how to find images to use in your infographics. Okay, so ideally, we want to practice finding image in a way that is copyright compliant, that doesn't get you into legal trouble. Now, for our course, since it is in an educational setting, we are kind of free to use whatever image that we want. But since this course or your skills may lead in the future to a job, doing something like this, you should know how to use images properly. Okay, so I encourage you to practice this when you make your infographics to use images that are free to use. Okay, so the first thing I want to go into is Google itself. Okay, so finding images on Google, often what we do is we just go to images and we just search for any old image, for example, a sunset. And then what we usually do is we just find one that we like, and we open it up and we save image as, and we go ahead and use it. And like I said, in an educational setting, you are free to do that, but we want to practice doing it in a way that that in the future, if we did it for a job, we wouldn't get in trouble. Okay, so what we're going to practice is we're going to go to these extra tools when we look for images. And the first thing I want to point your attention to is the usage rights. Okay, so this is what we're basically looking at when we want to find images that we can use. Okay, now it goes from the most free to the most restricted type of use. Okay, so the first one, okay, not filter, you just get everything, and we don't really know. But looking at this first one, labeled for reuse with modification, means that you can reuse these images however you want, and you can modify them however you want. So when I turn on that filter, it gives me all these images, and basically any of these images, I am free to reuse them. Okay, they've been labeled by the owner or by whoever, that you can reuse these. And I see that a number of them are from the Wikimedia Commons, which I will talk about later. Okay, so you can use these with no problems, and you can even modify them. So if I wanted to take this one and I modify it and I want to draw a hat on this lady or whatever, I can do that and I won't get into any trouble. Okay, the second one, labeled for reuse, means I can reuse it, but I'm not supposed to modify it. Okay. Now you'll notice that some images have both labels. Okay, so if it does have both labels, you can feel free to use the more open one. Okay, so you can modify it. So a lot of these are labeled that you can reuse it, but you shouldn't modify it. Okay, next one, you can reuse it, you can modify it, but only for non-profit. Okay, you can't make money out of it. Okay, so it shouldn't be an infographic for a business that advertises for products and drives traffic to the company page and whatnot. Okay, so do use those, practice, see if you can make your infographic by using these, if you do need to use these types of graphics. Okay, the other thing I wanted to draw your attention to, let me just change that for a second, is the type. Okay, now it's not always wise to use pixel graphics in an infographic, just because they are very full of detail. And when you have something that has so much detail, it often is hard to match up with other images. Okay, and what you get is just a big kind of a collage of images that don't really work well with each other. I've seen this a lot where people take a lot of pixel images and it just looks like a big cut and pasted unprofessional thing. Okay, so what I encourage, and what you actually see in a lot of infographics, is clip art or GIFs. Okay, and these are just very simple images. Okay, and since they are simplified, they do work a lot better with matching to other images, okay, because they are kind of limited in color, let's say, and limited in detail. So you kind of get like a common theme going on in your infographic. They do match up a lot better. Okay, so again, these are labeled for reuse with modification. Okay, or let's go to GIFs. Okay, so here are some GIFs that you can use, and very often you get GIFs that can be rather simplistic. Well, with sunsets, it doesn't seem to come up with very nice things. Okay, but anyways, you can check those out. I do encourage more the use of clip art than I would with regular pixel images. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is Wikimedia. Okay, so Wikimedia is kind of like the Creative Commons. It's actually called the Wikimedia Commons, where it's a big database of a lot of things that people have shared that have put together. Okay, so I want to show you what the Wikimedia is all about. Wikimedia is full of things that are free for use. A lot of things use the Creative Commons license, so it tells you exactly how you should use them. Okay, and it's very good for searching for images, but not only images, it's full of other media too, like videos and sounds and stuff like that. Okay, but I'm going to be showing you more about this type of image, an SVG. We've used this before, scalable vector graphic. Okay, so let's go to the Wikimedia Commons, and this is what it looks like. Okay, I do give you the link here. Okay, but you can probably just Google it and you'll probably find it pretty easily. Okay, so let's search for a sunset in here. Okay, so let's search for a sunset, and then you'll just basically get a bunch of sunsets that that you can use. So if I actually click on one, for example, this one here, and let's go to more details. Okay. Information about reusing. Okay, so it tells you all about this here. Okay, this is rather detailed. You can see it says reuse here. Let's go back. Just looking at this page right here, if you actually scroll down, you can actually see the Creative Commons license there. Okay, so it tells you all about it, so I can feel free to use this. You can download it. What I suggest is going to the original file here, and what you do, instead of clicking it, if you click it, it'll just open it up in a browser. Instead, what you should do is right click on it, right click, and you go to save link as. Okay, and you can see that you get a JPEG. So this is a JPEG. It's a pixel image. Let's take a look at a vector image. Okay. So let's go back, or I can probably just search right in there. Let's go to Spider-Man SVG. Okay, and SVGs are very good to use because they're already vectors. Okay, so you don't have to vectorize, and that's oh, I should mention, I forgot about clip art. Clip art is a lot easier to vectorize than a pixel image. So your full pixel images, if you try to put them in Inkscape or Illustrator, it's a little bit harder to turn them into a vector, where clip art is a little bit simpler and very easy to make it into a vector. Okay, but SVG is already a vector, so instead of downloading a PNG, converting to vector, let's just go ahead and get the vector in the first place. Let's go there, and again, we always want to look for the original file. Okay, this is an SVG. Okay, you can, if you want, download as a PNG, and then there's different qualities. So if you are going to be using it, I would suggest going at one of the higher qualities, just so you don't get pixelation. But let's go for the SVG. Okay, save link as. I'll save it on my desktop. Okay, that's fine. Save. Yes. Okay, and just so I can show you, let's go right into Illustrator. This is kind of the same as Inkscape if you're working with Inkscape. Okay, so in Illustrator it's using the place. I don't remember what it was in Inkscape. I think I mentioned it one time. If not, you can just Google it, how to insert an image in Inkscape. Okay, so let's place that there. And what's very nice about vector graphics is using your direct selection tool, you can actually edit various parts of it. Okay. Red and these parts here, let's make them orange. Okay, so vector graphics, very, very handy and very easy to edit. So I encourage you to use vector graphics.